Chapter 25. It was my night to sleep with Alex, but Carol suggested that the three of us stay in her bed. Alex loved that idea, and we all piled in together. She would have liked to have been in the middle, between her mother and father, but that wasn't possible, because she had to keep her nose prongs on all the time, and they were attached on a fairly short tube to the oxygen compressor that was placed next to her side of the bed. The compressor made a horrible kind of wheezing sound, and it would kick out a thud at regular intervals. I hated that damn thing, even as I had come to accept it as a part of Alex's room, her life, our house, our lives. By that time, the compressor didn't even bother me when I slept in with Alex. But this night, of course, none of us slept much at all. The pain was worse for Alex, and the pills we gave her seemed of little value. "Help me! Help me!" she would cry more and more. Finally, around 3:30, we called up Neil Lebhar, who was her pediatrician in town, and he came right over and gave Alex a shot of morphine. She was still alert enough to worry that the shot would hurt her, but the blessed thing took effect quickly and put her right out. Peace for her, thank God. I went back into our bedroom then, so that we all might be more comfortable and get some sleep. And, in fact, it was past 7 before I woke. I went downstairs to feed the dogs, and there, glancing out a window, I shall never forget this sight. There on the lawn, closer to the house than ever I had seen one, was a huge, coal-black raven, the bird of death. I am not being dramatic. It was there. Out loud to myself, I said, "So this is what the day your child dies looks like." It was only a normal sort of January day, crisp and clear, the ground brown and ugly without any snow cover. Carol and I had decided against calling Chris back home during the night, so long as we felt that we absolutely didn't have to. But now, around 8, Alex began stirring, and we phoned Dimitri's house and asked that Chris be brought back right away. He still wasn't certain what the full situation was, though. "Do we have to take Alex back to the hospital, Daddy?" he asked me when we came back into the house. I only shook my head. "No, it's more than that." "What is it?" "Christian, I'm afraid Alex is going to die sometime today." He shook his head at me in disbelief, and then fell into my arms and cried. Till then, he told me much later, he had never permitted himself to believe that this would ever really happen, and I had never had the courage or the chance to prepare him. I was going to go over all of it with him on Sunday, but here Alex was dying on Saturday. When he was better, I said, "Come on now, Alex wants to see you." "Daddy, what do I say to her?" "You don't have to talk about it. I know it's hard. But just be as casual as you can and be as loving as you can. Does she know, Daddy?" "I'm sure she does." How she rejoiced when he came to her. "Oh, Krish, my little brother Krish." They chatted a while, and then Alex saw how hard it was for him, and she suggested that he go play around. She was right. I don't think it would have been good for a 10-year-old boy to have to endure staying hours in his dying sister's room. Carol and I just told him to play nearby, keep us posted, and come back every hour or so to see his sister. It was better that way for Alex, too. It gave her a real treat whenever he popped back in. Somehow even made things seem a little more normal when Chris would come in and tell her all the mundane little boyish things he'd been doing outside or over at Dimitri's for the past hour or so. Alex would doze off now and then, and that one time midway through the morning she asked me to go out and get her the root beer. By the time I got back to the house from the store, she had drifted off again. I called our minister, Father Kennedy. I walked around. I tried to read the newspaper. The next day was the Super Bowl, Pittsburgh, and somebody. At one point, I walked over and looked behind the oxygen compressor. That huge, awful box going wheeze, wheeze, thump, wheeze. There was an hour tabulator in the back, sort of a time odometer, which registered how many hours the machine had been on. You were billed by the hour, and I had to fill out a form and mail it in every month. 1186.5 hours, 1238.2 hours, or whatever. When I looked, the total read 1306 and something. Right away it came to me. 13s. Double 13s are coming. The Raven, now this. Alex will die when this machine reaches 1313 hours. I calculated that to be around 2:30 in the afternoon. Both our ministers came. Father Kennedy was heading out of town for the day, but he dropped in and spoke to Alex and said a prayer. Later, Father Shipman, the assistant pastor, came by. He arrived about 12:30, and although Alex had declined markedly, she managed to ask Father Shipman a question. "Do you have to die to see God?" she said. I don't think he was quite prepared for that. I know I wasn't. But he gathered himself and said, "No, you didn't have to die to see God, because you could see him all around, in all that he had created in this world, the birds and the animals and the trees and the flowers, everything." Alex thanked him, and I could even see her smile at the thought of all those pretty things she loved. It was a good answer. On the other hand, after Father Shipman left, I got to thinking that it really wasn't fair for a child who was dying only to hear about God in terms of the things that living people see. So I reopened the subject and I said that although none of us, not even a minister, not even Father Shipman, knows exactly what God in heaven